a global software project management production by Team 6GreatMen. In this intercontinental collaboration that formed Team 6GreatMen, we have team leader Matt, Sam, Alex from the CMU Pittsburgh team, as well as team leader Robert, KELVIN, XIONG from the SMU Singapore team. The following video will touch on two main aspects, namely Phase 2A, in-depth analysis and recommendations, and Phase 2B, group reflections. Now let's begin.
Today we'll be discussing DELL's Singapore and United States websites and some recommendations we have to increase trust, satisfaction, and loyalty. From our research, we have found that people tend to have a better overall experience with websites that reflect their cultural background. Our recommendations are based on this research and aim to increase loyalty, trust, and overall satisfaction. DELL has employed a subsidiary approach for its global website. Basically, this has allowed them to increase customer trust, loyalty, and satisfaction by adding regional content to give the website more cultural context in different regions. However, we feel their websites could be more localized. We will be discussing our recommendations based off of this recommendation.
Overall, DELL has adopted a globalized approach to the website design, as seen by the stark resemblances in the US and Singapore websites. This approach enables DELL to reach a wider audience because a globally adapted design is easier to navigate when compared to the hassle of redirecting the user to a culturally specific site that is not even guaranteed to align with the user's personal cultural experiences. DELL does include some elements of the internationalization as seen in their recent advertisement design. On the home page last week, there was a 60% off ad on both the US and Singapore websites. In the US version, there was a picture of the White House in the background in honor of President's Day, an American holiday. That same ad in Singapore, however, had a New Year celebration in the background in honor of the Chinese New Year celebrations that recently took place. This was a small difference, but one that catered to a specific group of people. We would suggest that DELL include more of these subtle differences, while making sure that it doesn't stray too far away from the globalized model. One example of this is to change pictures of business people from the Singapore website. The Singapore site uses the same pictures of American-looking business people that the US site uses. By altering this to include pictures of Asian business people, Singapore users may feel better connected to the site, giving them a better overall DELL experience. In order to operate a successful website, DELL must employ metaphors that successfully enhance human-to-computer interactions. The US site does a good job of this with the use of symbols such as a shipping truck, a coupon, or a customer service person that easily direct the customer to the desired area of service. However, we would suggest for the shop page that the graphic containing products such as laptops and electronics be shifted upwards, as it is currently too far down the page and requires the user to scroll down to see it. By putting the graphic at the top of the page, it is immediately seen by the user, making the shopping experience easier and more efficient.
DELL's international-facing websites display a level of standardization that emphasizes internationalization over localization. This design mentality is present in their color choices as well. DELL's choice of inoffensive colors as well as their design preference for less vibrant hues results in a website that appears professional across cultures. However, in comparison to their competitors, DELL's international-facing websites are drab and their color palette does not reflect their attention to individual markets. If DELL were to incorporate design elements that better reflected South Asian culture, they would likely generate more trust amongst those consumer demographics. DELL has already made the choice to showcase local headlines and community-oriented news on its Singaporean homepage, which shows that as a corporation they understand the values of the market. However, they could better showcase this understanding by crafting a color scheme that suits the market better. This would complement their existing localization efforts. So while red is often viewed as a color symbolizing anger, hazards, or errors in Western culture, it is traditionally viewed as a sign of prosperity, wealth, or luxury amongst South Asian cultures. In the past, DELL has created local content on their site that utilized red backgrounds and design elements for their New Year's sales. It may be beneficial to make those design choices a more permanent component of their Singaporean-facing website. Additionally, in comparison to their competitors' South Asian-facing e-commerce sites, DELL's marketplace appears to be noticeably sparser. When displayed side by side with Sony Electronics' webshop, it becomes apparent that DELL utilizes images far less than their competitors. Their competitors make use of descriptive images to guide users browsing their product selection. Implementing content that is structured around a more immediate visual hierarchy would likely diminish sources of confusion that customers currently experience.
Now that we talked about the United States version of the website, we're going to move to our Singapore team members, who are going to be discussing more about their recommendations and mostly based off of the Singapore version of the website. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Before we go further into our recommendations, we would like to briefly conclude our in-depth analysis as previously mentioned by the CMU team. Namely, our teams has identified two key potential aspects that will serve as guidelines for deriving our recommendations. Firstly, we would like to suggest a few more important website features that will help DELL furnish its website with more depth, interactivity, as well as useful functionalities. Secondly, we would like to suggest applying the concept of culturalization, which would help DELL gain more desirable recognitions by the cultural bodies of the respective countries. All in all, the above measures will seek to improve overall user satisfaction, as well as which will in turn establish loyalty over time. Now, we will present our recommendations in the following.
Recommendation 1. Implement responsive web design. Here we have a paper prototype of the DELL Singapore website. The use of responsive web design allows one layout to fit multiple screens and devices. In this desktop interface, the website layout fits comfortably in the web browser. As we switch to a tablet portrait interface, the same website is utilized and the website fits as though you are viewing it from a desktop. Likewise, as we turn to a landscape view, the responsive design responds and resizes accordingly. Similarly, this responsive interface will react with the limitations of a mobile interface and provide a seamless overall experience for users while switching between the different devices, which will inevitably increase user satisfaction. Recommendation 2. Implement modular AJAX functionality to reduce number of page refreshes. In this recommendation, we'll attempt to display a reduced number of page refreshes through the implementation of an AJAX update functionality while using DELL's shopping site as an example. As we go through a typical purchase process for 2 laptops, there comes a step where we'll need to update the quantity from 1 laptop to 2 prior to checking out for payment. As you can see, from the existing system example, such an update step will lead to an additional page refresh to update the quantity details. This ultimately wastes away bandwidth and loading time for users to download extra page content when only the quantity module needs to be updated. As we now compare the same purchase example of 2 laptops with our suggested implementation, you can briefly see the slight and almost unnoticeable user interactive change to the earlier example. The changes can be seen more apparent as you notice no page refreshes, but instead a modular update of the quantity value after the user attempts to update the quantity of laptop order from 1 to 2. This method essentially helps improve overall user satisfaction and has wider potential to cut down more unnecessary page refreshes in place of multiple modular updates that can be embedded within a single web page. Recommendation 3. Improve online shopping experience.
Our paper prototype for our new DELL website focuses on making the shopping experience easier for the user. You come to the DELL website and you see this page. Immediately you click on the shop. This directs you to the Shop Home website, where you can see all different products that you might be interested in. Say you're interested in product 1. Click, and this screen comes up. Information about the product will come down, and you can read everything about it. If you're interested in this product, click Add to Cart, and your product will immediately go down to your shopping cart and add up to your total. And then when you're done shopping, you can just check out.
Recommendation 4. Implement a language switch bar. Using DELL's Singapore website as our example, we will be recommending the implementation of a language switch bar to enable users from varying cultures visiting the Singapore website to switch to their ideal interactional language for viewing. Seen here is the default use of the English language for the general public use. Portrayed in the following example, with the new language bar support, Chinese users who are more comfortable with Mandarin can now choose the Mandarin language to suit to their reading habits. Likewise, in this another example, Korean users who visit the website may also select the Korean language to help translate the website's content to better suit to their individual cultural reading comfort, which may eventually boost user satisfaction for the website.
From the outset, we agreed to meet every Friday morning. We would hang out with our Singapore teammates. We thought this would be very beneficial, just to have a face-to-face experience once a week, so we could work on work structure. Even if we didn't have a ton of work, it was just good to meet with our teammates to make sure we were all on the same page. Towards the end of the project, we kind of strayed away from this, and if we could go back, we would definitely be more rigid on making those meetings once a week, or if not more than once a week.
I think one thing that worked out really well the entire time was making sure that we're always on the same page. We had Dropbox up from the very beginning and in Google Docs, so we never had to kind of shuffle around and find out where the reports were. We always really got everything out in order, and I think that was one of the greatest experiences of the project. So being able to collaborate with guys that were 13 hours away and having it work smooth the entire time. That was pretty great.
And then finally having a team leader. I was the team leader on the CMU team side, and then Robert was the team leader on the Singapore team side. It was a lot easier to communicate because I could talk to Robert, and then Robert could communicate to his team members, rather than all three of us trying to talk to all three of them, because then we would never really know who actually knew what was going on. This way we knew that at least what I said to Robert, he was going to relay back to his teammates, and what he said to me, my teammates were going to them. So this made it was a very effective way for us to communicate. One thing that we do wish that we worked a little bit better on was we felt that our team and Singapore team had a little bit different view of what the scope of the project was. From our professor, we didn't really think we had to use paper prototyping that much at the beginning, but the Singapore side of our team really was advocating paper prototype, which was fine. And then after our analysis, both our reports were very long and extensive, which I think made it successful, but it was a little bit out of the scope of the project in our view. So we communicated that from the very beginning. We might have been able to negotiate a little more and understand what we expected at the end of the project for our final product.
When it comes to a global project, it's important for us to stick to the basic. So there's no better way than for a team to have a comprehensive project plan. When teams are scattered across the globe, it's important for us to have a sound project management techniques and governance. Differences in time zone between the US and Singapore can make certain activities seem longer than expected. However, a detailed and well-communicated project plan will ensure that every team member will know what they are doing and the deadlines given to them to ensure that the project is on schedule.
It is important to have ownership in all the projects we have done. In our projects, there is a degree of virtual and scattered teams, remote work and non-face-to-face interactions. This demands the team disciplines and responsibilities to get the job done. This is to ensure that everyone of us can actually have a sense of belonging towards the team.
Having clear defined goals is important. With roles and responsibilities that were clearly defined and agreed upon between both the CMU as well as the SMU teams early in the stages has helped resolve many potential confusions along the discussions as well as execution phases. In our global collaboration experience, we have realized that it is critical that members understand their roles that they play as well as the responsibilities that they have to carry out towards the team along the way. Ultimately, being able to tap on the team's individual strengths as well as complement one another's weaknesses has proven to help push both teams' potential further than previously expected. We have come to the end of our video presentation. Thank you for watching, and we hope you have enjoyed our experience.